Okay. So, oh, whatever. Okay, good. All right, so nice. By the way, when I resize this, I don't quite understand what's happening here. So I see this is by default resizing. No, how is
No.
this resize happening?
The image size is not controlled. The GUI has bugs. Plus, as we discussed, it's not going to be efficient. So that's still, we're going to fix all the bugs, including the default size behavior and so forth. And I think
what is the default size? I mean, this thing tracking the window size seems okay, but by default, but we definitely need to be able to do other things.
Yeah, I was thinking we will go with the same defaults as for the image objects. If the video is larger than the width of a window, we're gonna limit to the size of the window.
For sure.
And if the video is smaller, we're gonna stick to the video size. And then you can set the size using image size.
Okay, or using dragging, yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. And the dragging, okay, fine. All right, so, okay. So how do I take, so let's say I call this VVV equals this. Okay, so what do I do now? So you're saying there is an audio track. Does the goat have an audio track?
This one does, yes. You didn't hear it as you were playing?
I'm not set so that we can set this so that we can hear it. Let's see. Okay, now it's sharing computer sound. Okay. So how do I get the audio for this? If I just say audio of VVV, do I get it?
I do not think so.
Audio of that file.
But that seems like a sensible request.
Yep,
right.
I agree.
Okay, if I do audio of that file, do I get it?
That should work. Pending bugs, but yes.
Why is it taking it so long? Is it doing some big conversion thing, or is it?
Possibly. Oh, this might be some. Can you reevaluate that? That might be the GUI timing out for some weird reason.
Yeah, it shouldn't be doing any conversions.
Yep.
See that it's still linking to the same MP4. It's just going to be taking the first audio track that it finds in that video file.
Okay. So if I were to say something like audio, what do I want to do audio plot of that? What are the units?
Seconds.
Seconds.
Okay. All right. That's pretty cool. So that's a stereo audio. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So the first question here is video track, audio track, subtitle track. So for example, here, if I said subtitle, how would I get? What are you saying here? How do I get?
Oh, sorry, those are options.
I understand, but I don't understand what their options to import that say what, which audio track to which. So with
for
import,
instance, you ask for import of a video file, comma, frame rate, and different video tracks could have different frame rates. We thought about doing some kind of a sub-element specification to say I want the first track or fifth track. But that's very annoying because most of the times, especially with video tracks, people only have one of them.
Yeah. I'm totally confused here. What we're talking about is I do import from a file, right?
Yep.
And this file, I don't understand what this track thing is. Is this saying I want to, what is it trying to say? I want to pick out the audio, so that then give me an element that's just called audio track, right?
Yeah, but what if you want a video object with just the second audio track, but it's a full video object?
From the import?
Yeah. Some kind of partial import, like not importing all of the tracks that exist in the file.
Well, I mean, don't we have a multiple elements mechanism for that?
Right, but what
Sure.
I'm...
Sorry, go ahead, Shadi.
Go back. Let's maybe take another example. Image list element of import. Assume you want to take frames 100 to 110 with an image list element from the second video track.
Okay.
Options that we have is either say image list in a list, you say image list.
Listen, I don't think it's the right approach. I think by the time you're doing things at that level of detail, you should be using the video object. You should not be trying to get it through some backwards, specification through the import elements. See what I'm saying? By the time you're doing that, since it is of no cost to say, attach this video object to this file, then, creating a video, I mean, I would have thought that's where you should put this stuff. But I'm very...
What do you mean?
Well,
I didn't understand by attaching a track to a video. I'm
saying that we do this, and, okay, what do you do with an image if you only want to see one channel of the image? If you want to see the red channel.
Separate.
Right.
Color separate image, R.
Right. Right. So I think we should do the same kind of thing here. I think this is an actual action. I mean, I think you should be able to import an audio track. I mean, importing audio track 7, I mean, most videos, that's not the story, right? Most videos, it's one video track, one audio track, a subtitle track.
For most videos, yes. I think all the consumer cameras, that's what they generate. On YouTube, for instance, you get a lot of videos that have multiple audio, multiple subtitles. Okay. Very few of them have multiple video tracks. Okay, fine.
Well, so then to me, I mean, if you want to get audio track 2, I don't know what our typical syntax would be for this. Whether it's something like this, I don't know. I don't know what we typically do for import elements like that.
That's a typical thing to do, yes.
Okay, fine. So that seems just fine. Now, what's the issue?
So there is another usage for these options, though, that is pretty important for the various processing functions that tell
the other ones
the function what to apply, what to be applied on.
I understand that, but my question is, okay, so there's two cases. One case is you are separating it out. Okay, let's talk about images. If you want to apply specifically to the red channel in an image, how do you do that?
We don't have any functions to do that yet. I think we never wanted to process. It happens, but it's rare enough that we didn't introduce the function.
Right. So in the video case, what are you telling me? That there is processing that you want to do on an audio track, for example, that you want to sort of feed straight back into that video. It's like a map where you're, where you're mapping at that audio piece. Is that right?
Exactly. Yes.
And that's common. Why is that common?
So you end up having, I don't know, a translation, a speech translation of an audio track in another track, and it's noisy, and you just want to.
So you dubbed it into, I don't know, Mongolian or something, and you want to process the Mongolian dubbing, but you don't want to process other stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that's the thing where in the video map, which normally video map is taking what you've got in the video, applying a function and returning the results. But what you're saying here is it's a video map at that wants to map inside the video, correct? And return many elements of the video you want to leave unchanged, like map at.
Except that it's video apply at. Those names we never finalized, but we can go back to it. But yes, so you're changing one track, leaving the other things either untouched, or you can set them to none. So one other setting that is not listed there, for instance, you can say subtitle track goes to none, basically remove all of them.
No, wait a minute. We're confused here, okay? There are several different things going on. First thing is you're doing an import and you don't want to bring in everything. You just want to bring in a subpart, right? That's
Correct.
case number one. Okay.
Yes.
Case number two, which I don't think is the same case. You want to operate, a function being applied on, you want to direct it at one part of the video while leaving the rest unchanged.
Correct.
Okay. Another thing you might want to do is to pull out the subtitle track, do something completely different to it, but not reassemble it into the video.
Correct.
Or you might want to take a completely, you might want to write your own subtitle track, running it through a text translator or something, and then inject that into the video, even though there has been no subtitle. You want to add a Mongolian subtitle track, even though one wasn't present before. And so you want to be able to inject something new into the video, correct?
Yeah, I don't think we have this functionality yet.
Okay, but we're going to need that functionality.
But yes, it is a.
We're going to need that functionality.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Probably some syntax in export could handle that.
I don't think that's the right place for it. I don't think we should be doing these things externally. I think the cases that we have here are, okay, so importing partial stuff, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We've got applying functions to partial stuff. And we've got inserting new stuff, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, so I think those should all be. I want to make sure that let's take a look here. Let's just do a quick scan of these things before we get sucked back into this. Okay.
I was going to suggest the same. Yes.
I mean, to me, there's a very clear story here for some things. Okay, so I mean, clearly, this is a fine thing to do. Clearly subtitle track is a fine thing to do, and so on, right? Now, presumably the subtitle tracks are named. Is that correct?
They could have names, they could have languages, or they could be just numbered.
Okay, whatever. Okay, fine. So are we going to use? Okay, wait a second. Are we going to use our language entities for this?
Sure.
Do we know how are they named officially in videos?
I believe it's not very much standardized, Rebecca or Carlo.
I also don't think it's standardized. I've seen.
I see. So it's just
tracks with random names.
It's just basically it's just a text field, and they don't use the EN and all that kind of. They don't use these ISO names and things.
I think I've seen those. Rebecca, you can comment on that.
Hello, Rebecca. Find your mute button. No, you're not muted.
I don't know. She hasn't been very much into video. We asked her to help as more functions are coming. So she's here. Yeah, Rebecca, try to unmute.
Hello?
I mean, she is unmuted, but evidently something's not working.
Okay.
Yeah, but she may not know.
Yeah, I understand, but let's find out if
Let me just point out one thing that is gonna be backwards incompatible and annoying with what you're suggesting now. The image list element that I was pointing out, for instance, for QuickTime and AVI that we supported, if you set image list, 1, it always returned the first frame. And now image list, 1, the 1 is going to refer to the first video track.
No.
So you have to add another comma 1.
No, it's not.
Yes.
No. Why would it?
Oh, because you're saying it will be a different track. It's going to be a video track, 1.
No, what are you talking about? Okay, what I'm saying is, look, image list presumably defaults to the main video track. I think poor Rebecca is fighting with her audio.
Is it working now?
It is now. We can hear you.
Good. I changed.
Nice to hear from you. Right. Do you know the answer to the question?
I think that it is part of the metadata specification. I don't. So that would depend on the specific subtitle encoding whether you can get that language. I assume it would be available.
No, I
but it
understand,
wouldn't
but
be
we want to
centralized.
know whether there is a standardized way of referring to languages. Probably not. Okay, let's assume there isn't. But we should obviously translate. I don't know what we do with our entities. That's a separate problem. Okay, so what I'm suggesting here, if you say this, then you will just get the image list from the main track. Now, were you to want to get the image list from a subsidiary track, I don't know what syntax to use for this. I mean, I think.
I guess that's where the option proposal came.
Yeah.
For exactly this kind of situation.
Can you just complete this to a list of image list, 100, which used to return the 100th frame?
I know, that's right. That's what it should do. I don't know why it's the 100th rather than the first 100. I would have thought it should be a take spec where that would be in a separate list to return just the 100th one. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
I would expect that would be take of the thing, 100, and this would be just the 100th frame. And that I would think that it would change. I would think that it would return something with spans and stuff like this.
Yep. Yeah, span is definitely supported. But now that's yeah, as Carlos says, the video track option was proposed to tackle this problem so that number is always the number
well, what
of
I would
track,
suggest, I don't agree with that. I think what I would do here is something like this. I would do video track 1, image list or something. I mean, this is an obscure syntax, but that's the kind of thing I would do.
I mean, I guess it is obscure enough. If we are convinced that this kind of workflow is not something particularly common, then probably fine, but I'm not sure that
well, that doesn't look that bad to me. It seems like this would work fine. And you might be able to, you could probably remove that list if you didn't have the 100 there. But I don't think this workflow is our recommended workflow. I think it's get it into a video object and then process it.
Sure.
Okay. Then VideoFrames is the function that you proposed we are developing that basically is also extracting partial stuff. Maybe we can quickly look at that as well and see if we need the option video track in it or not.
Look, I don't think that's the right way to do it. And, to me, and maybe I'm wrong here, but to me, by the time you're getting frames, why not have a function like color separate that separates the tracks? But
you rarely care about frame number 10 from all of the tracks. So I don't think
I know that. So I mean, but extracting the nth track and just that's the result, not an option to the video. In other words, if you say extract the nth track, you get a new video in a new file with only that track.
Oh, so that is potentially problematic because there is a very expensive operation.
To just separate out one track is going to be very expensive.
Well, wait a minute. So is that true for audio as well?
No.
Okay, what does it mean to have different video tracks?
What you're suggesting sound to us as if you want us to create a new file only with a specific video track. Well, and that requires data copy.
Okay, hold on. When there are multiple video tracks, is that because somebody had a camera with multiple eyes in it and things? Is that what causes you
Not necessarily. You could construct a video from using different video tracks. Using, for example,
who does that?
It's very rare.
Okay, but let me ask the question again. People who have multi-eyed cameras, what is the thing that they get?
I would assume a file that contains multiple video tracks.
Let's
but
find
I
out.
do not know.
Let's find out. Okay. Okay. So, backing up. So your point is it's much easier to have an overlay that says consider only this track. Okay, we're dealing with a corner case here. This case of multiple videos, we don't even understand when it shows up. So I don't think that's the thing to really worry about. The audio case is much more interesting. We already know how to peel off a so the issue is if you say audio of a video object, there's a question of which audio track you get by peeling it out of the video. Am I making sense? Do you get
Indeed.
the Mongolian or do you get the Russian, or what do you get? Okay. And so that's the thing we need to figure out. And now to get subtitles out of a video, there's a question of what is the peeling off function that would get you, I mean, because that operation, does this goat video have subtitles?
No,
I don't
this
know. I
one
don't
doesn't.
think so.
Okay, but fundamentally, what is the subtitle track? Is it just running text, or does it have time markers and things in it?
It has timestamps.
Yeah, and
And what
styles.
format would we bring the subtitle track in?
This is a very raw format called ASS, and we're not doing anything with it at this point. We just allow for users to import it as raw as it is, or transcode it to other types of
so I mean,
encodings.
ultimately, whatever diarization we're going to do with audio, that is going to give us back a tagged, sequence, a tagged time series of, A was talking here, B was talking there. That's the same type of thing, I would assume, that we would want to turn the subtitle track into.
Yeah, it's an interval that has a value that is a text.
Okay. And do we know what that symbolic format is yet?
For importing subtitles, no.
But what about for diarization?
We don't have diarization yet. We are doing single speaker matching and recognition.
I think something like we proposed for annotations is going to make sense. It's going to be region of interest with some annotation being the name of a person.
All right.
Or
okay. So let's go ahead and do the following. Let's try to invent that symbolic format for the diarized speech and subtitle tracks. Okay. And I mean, we're not going to do that right now, but why don't you guys come up with some ideas for that? Sound reasonable?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's go back over here. So your issue here is I want the frames, but I want to extract. See, what also bothers me is, it's a big deal whether you're extracting, from camera 1 or camera 7. It's not just a detail. I mean, if all the cameras were looking in the same direction, maybe it's a detail, but it could be completely different stuff. And to me, it's very weird that an option is defining where that comes from. I mean, it seems like something where you should be saying, yeah, I mean, I'm a little confused by that. So
I can't agree more, Stephen, but as you see, the track selection index is going to become in the way whenever you want to get to that time spec or index spec. So you always have to say a 1 comma something.
For what? I'm sorry.
For almost all of these import video frames, so you have to specify the track index before the time index. And that's basically why we propose the option.
But you've already told me that video tracks are really rare things. So okay, let's keep going. I'm not sure about this. Okay, so this we've agreed on these pieces, right?
Except that we don't like the video frames, video comma DT.
So the issue that we've had, everyone that we've shown this kind of syntax is, since it is essentially the part syntax, that is always interpreted, okay, this will give me the frame at time DT.
All right, did we not come up with a different approach to do? Okay, this particular thing of give me, a kind of, I mean, I'm thinking about the actual use. Okay, so like these live streams. Okay, let's say we wanted to get thumbnails from these live streams.
Sure.
To me, the useful thing is once a minute, once every 2 minutes, whatever. I just want to get what roughly happened.
Yeah, so that would be easily achievable with like the penultimate usage. You'd have.
What wouldn't be? I mean, what would you say? 0, -1? No, we don't even have a -1.
No, you just do the span without putting in the arguments, right?
Yeah.
That's really
semicolon,
obscure.
semicolon.
That's really obscure.
Or you could
could
say
be 0, duration.
Or 0 all, or whatever kind of shortcut we decide is sensible, if any.
I just don't think this is a good idea. I think this is the common case. I think when people want video frames, this is the thing they want. I mean, what do you want that to do with a single argument?
Get us a single image.
Okay, what if that's a quantity?
Get us a single image at that time.
Or what kind of a
could
quantity?
support, yeah, we could support a time quantity or a frames quantity, for example.
Do we have frames as a unit?
It gets interpreted as independent unit.
Okay, well, why don't you talk to the units people, because we might actually want it as a unit.
Okay.
I don't know how they deal with, queries per second and things like that. I think that may actually be a unit which has conversions.
You also suggested a frequency as a unit, and maybe is that gonna make you happy and
No,
cover
it's not.
that case?
No, it's not.
No,
No, it's not. Well, have you got the rest of video frames implemented?
Yeah, it's in a branch. I can show you if you want. I implemented.
All right,
Put
in your version of T. Okay, I don't even understand how that could possibly work, because normally, if it was you're saying it's a part specification. Yeah, all right, okay. Put in your version. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
No, put in the version that the thing you want.
Okay, yeah. At the moment, it is implemented as you proposed.
Well, you can change it.
But okay, perfect. Okay. I understood. Put it in your tea, like in a cup of tea.
No. Sorry. That's some. You should run your speech recognition stuff on. Yeah, anyway. Okay. Carl on our live stream is mentioning the SRT format for subtitles. I do not know what that is. Are you
that
on
is
top
a
of that?
sidecar file, I assume, right?
It says for community subtitling.
Yep,
yeah, that is not included in the video file itself. I'm not sure how we handle that at the moment.
Well, but so the issue would be to convert that into the same symbolic representation, and then the question is to inject it into a video file.
Correct.
Okay.
Again, our subtitle support is going to be very poor, 12.1.
Yeah.
But we're going to be looking at all of those.
Video trim. What does audio trim do?
It just trims the audio, just take exactly like this usage here.
Okay. And really, you're going to have seconds with the integer there, as opposed to frames?
I think it's
wrong.
Seems to be the common case.
Well, okay, then what are you doing here? Are you doing seconds or are you doing frames?
Same, seconds.
Second. You really don't want to keep track of your frame rate and so forth to ask for the index of the frame.
Fair enough. Okay.
And that's exactly what we have done with audio. So I think as far as consistency, it makes more sense too.
Okay. All right. Video map. What does that
do? Okay. So video trim and those options. Like audio track, video track, subtitle.
I'm not sold on those options yet. I want to come back to those options.
Okay.
VideoMap applies a function on each frame.
Okay. What if I want to apply only to every 10th frame?
Then you can use video block map. That is essentially block map, but
it's not block map, because block map takes all the frames. Every time you feed it to the function, it's taking that whole list of frames, as opposed to taking just the every nth frame.
So you can specify, right, the window size and the offset. So if you specify a window size of 1 and an offset of
can I see the docs for these? Is this there?
Not in the. I'm gonna unfuturize a lot today and tomorrow.
Okay. All right,
in
so let's
CBS, you can see that. both VideoMap and VideoBlockMap return a time series of results. So this is not the function. If you think this was going to transform your video every 10th frame of the video, this is not. Video applies that.
No,
And video filter.
so I'm saying I want to extract every 10th frame, and so wait a minute. If I just said identity, okay, so if I said, is video frames the equivalent of video block map? Let's see, to partitions with offset, non-overlapping partitions of video frames. What is the partition of video frames? Is that a list of video frames?
Yes.
So video block map of 3 seconds or something would feed me in, 100 and something frames. So
Correct.
F would get as an argument a list of 100 and something frames.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Is that syntax for duration offset? Is that the same as block map? It's different from partition there.
No, it's it's duration, comma, offset as a sequence of 2 arguments. I think you commented on that last time as well.
So let's not put it in a list here. If block map doesn't do that, and partition doesn't do that, why would video block map do that?
I'm trying to think, Carlo, maybe you remember, did we have an idea for another argument there in video block map?
You know what? We can't change this, okay?
Okay.
This is just has to work this way.
Okay, we'll change that.
Okay. And I would not call it duration, I would call it n here, because it's n frames.
Oh, again, here we are interpreting a number as a time. And again, you can specify a quantity.
Actually, Carl on our live stream makes the following good point. What if you have a webcam or a traffic camera that's taking a picture only every minute?
Well, then the frame rate will be very, very low, I guess.
No, but then you're going to get a nonsense when you ask for something in seconds. Look, if this thing is giving you frames, if the function f is being given a list of frames, the natural thing here is the number of frames it's going to be given. Because otherwise you're going to get the thing being fed 1,000 frames. In other words, what do you expect this video block map processing to do? It's going to take a few frames at a time and do something to them.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Okay, so essentially what you're saying is we have both usages differentiated using quantities. Essentially, you want the default number to be interpreted as number of frames.
I think so.
Shadi,
I really think so.
Any strong opinion here?
I think as long as we are consistent in all of these, because I'm sure
I'm not sure that we necessarily want to be, because in video frames, okay, first of all, okay, this is so confused. Okay, video frames, the name says frames, right? Let's use frame numbers. If the name says frames, right?
I kind of agree with that.
And then in that case, a span of 1 minus 1 with a step makes sense as well.
For frames.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, you should be able to do the mixed case, 1 minus 1, sure. 1 minute.
Yeah, that is already supported.
Okay, so I don't know whether things like, random webcams correctly timestamp. In other words, for instance, things that take rare pictures, do they timestamp them, or do you just get a pile of frames?
Mostly, I think, pile of frames.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So let's make frames the default. Okay.
I think I told you there are extensions to EXIF that companies like GoPro are suggesting that have metadata per frame for videos, things like geopositions and timestamps and so forth, but that's not yet a very common practice. And that EXIF extension is not standardized either.
I understand. So we can't necessarily read it.
Nope.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so you're going to do an n comma d or n comma offset
sequence that. Sure.
right, for video block map and
Yeah.
video map. Okay. So what is this comment here about video time series map?
You didn't like the name VideoMap. Those are other suggestions
Okay.
you had. We never finalized that name.
Okay. I mean, we are using things like file system map, which return a different sort of keying scheme to the way. Yeah. Are you guys really happy with VideoMap as a name? I mean, I just think it's a little obscure because what it is doing is mapping frame by frame. But I guess, you know, by the time you have image apply that's applying to individual pixels and things, this is consistent with that.
Yeah. My only concern is that I'm sure we are all going to confuse video map and video apply. One of them is returning a time series. The other one is another video. And I don't think the names are distinct enough.
Yeah, fair enough. What does block map? Video block map returns a time series as well.
Correct.
What do we do if there aren't any times? I mean, I don't understand how we return a time series if all we know is frame numbers.
Wait, but we do have a frame rate, right?
Do you have a frame rate? Where do you get the frame
Yes.
rate from?
It's stored in the metadata.
Question, does a webcam that takes a picture every n, maybe that just doesn't do that. Maybe that's just a series of images, not a video.
So, I mean, if it takes a picture every 1 hour, but then it produces, and then it stores them in a video, the video could have a frame rate of 24 images per second, right? Just like a time lapse, and that would be the actual frame rate that we would
I see.
use.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, the fact that it takes an image every 15 minutes doesn't really matter or is not relevant.
Yeah. So the question is, should this be video map time series or some such other thing?
So of the two options that you had in the suggestions, I did like the video frames map slightly better than video time series map. I don't know, it seems a bit, sure, it spells exactly out what the head of the output is, but I don't think it makes the operation any clearer. Well, video frame map seems.
Well, I don't understand. If video frames, explain why video frames is going to give a list, which it is, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that should be called video frames list.
I see your point. I don't have a good answer to this.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's look at this. So one possibility is that we call it video frames list, which is very clear what it does, or video frame list, which will be more consistent with our usage, video frames list or video frame list. And
I
then
still think video frames is explicit enough for what that is.
Well, not if we have another thing called video
frames map.
Yeah, it's not going to work because by the time we have video map returning a time series, this returns a list. Okay, so the operations are, oh boy. Okay, video filter feeds back into the video, correct?
It creates a new video, yeah.
Video apply does what?
Also returns a video.
That's crazy. What does image apply do? It returns an image, right?
Correct.
You know, that video time series gets a time series from a video by applying a function f. Which is what it does. It has nothing to do with map as such, because map does none of those things. Map would...
Well, it applies a function to a list of images. It maps a function over a list of images.
Right.
Do we think we're ever going to generalize that video time series to also take into account pieces of audio and subtitle? So that the function f takes a bunch of video frames and a buffer of audio track.
Yeah, why not? That seems like a good thing to do. How would we do that? I mean,
then in that case, I think this name is better than a video frame map.
But hold on. What you're saying is that one thing is f of image, right? But another possibility would be f of some kind of video buffer.
Yep.
And then audio, or something, or is it a sub? Is it rather a sub video that you will be giving here? F of some sliced video.
No, I think what you have below is what we have been thinking about, an association of video pieces, audio pieces, and so forth.
Okay, but then how would you specify which of these the F is getting?
So F in this case could be taking slot video buffer, slot audio buffer.
I understand that, but how is that consistent with this usage here?
Oh, what F is getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is, in this form, video time series. I mean, to me, let's see, what's this argument now? This argument is what is the next argument? It's the number of frames, is that right? That you get. No, what is the next argument?
VideoMap doesn't have a third argument, I think.
Okay. Well, so we've got what we've got here, potentially combining video block map and video map, is video time series, which has an F, a video, and then what food the F is going to be fed. Right? Because what you've got to specify then is, the feeding instructions for F. If you see what I mean. And those feeding instructions could be, give me the, n frames. Okay, so those instructions could be, n frames. They could be DT time offset, or they could be, don't give me n frames, give me this whole pile of stuff. Am I making sense?
So this is still not covering the case of video block map, right? Where you get or that is included in the video buffer.
Well, video block map is n frames at a time, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, right. Sorry. I interpreted that as n frames in total. Now I was confused.
No, because this is right. So this.
Yep, that's fine.
But
you remember that moving map has this syntax that says slot values is the same as slot 1 as well. So I think distinguishing between that f of image or f of association could be explained with a similar.
Okay, but if I want to do this video time series only on a certain part of the video, how would I do that? I would have to specify that part of the video. See, to me, there's a wrapper that is needed, which both is a track extractor and a time extractor.
Something new, or something that creates a new thing, a new
Well,
file?
I don't know. I mean, so look, what we need is something, and it could be video itself, and it could be that what you're doing is you're saying video of video blah blah blah, comma, and then the extractor, which gives both the beginning and end times, right? That could be track number, beginning and end times, and other things, which give you essentially a sub video, a region of interest in the video. How are we doing region of interest in images?
Not in any way that you're suggesting here. We just crop the part of the interesting part of the image and then work.
No, I understand that, but in the specification, we could have a wrapper that is a wrapper around the image that says this image.
Like a rectangle could be used as a bounding box around the region.
No, I'm saying, but you understand what I'm suggesting here. I'm suggesting that you put a decorator around video that gives track number and so on, and then you feed that decorated video into video time series. If you want to get the time series of, when did the goat cross the road? I only want the section where it crossed the road.
It sounds like you want essentially a video trim that's inherent. That doesn't really.
Well, you tell me whether. I don't know whether. I mean, so video trim that
seems sensible, right? Like a masking specification or something.
Yes, it's like a region of interest in the video, but video trim, is that an expensive operation, video trim?
That can be an expensive operation, depending if you're trimming at keyframes or not. If it needs decoding and re-encoding, then yeah, it's a terrible thing to do.
Okay, so a wrapper would be a much better idea.
For as an input for all these processing functions seems reasonable. Either that or a masking option in all these processing functions, depending on what we prefer.
I think this is a better idea because I think you want to carry around when the goat crossed the road, the section of the video when the goat crossed the road or whatever. And then do operations on all of those, not have to give I mean, you want to get that once and for all. You figure that out by, clever machine learning, whatever, and then you get back that thing. Now, the question is, what the video thing itself, what else does it have in it?
Something like video region of video and then the specification?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just...
No, I understand. I understand that. So in video itself, it only has one argument, right?
Yep.
Correct.
See, I think that an interesting way to do this would be, I mean, in a perfect world, we would take, like if it was a duration, we would take this and we would somehow highlight the relevant duration or some such other thing on the player.
I see.
Right. And by the way, what you would want to do is to show the beginning frame. When the player first comes up, you would want to show the beginning frame
of the region of interest.
Right.
I mean, there are two aspects of this, right? Say that we have this wrapper. It has two roles. One is to inform the processing functions where to extract the data from, and the other one is to inform the GUI if we want to do anything different with the GUI, as you said, highlight something on that bar or something.
Well, for example, if we want caption, presumably we're going to have in the GUI a way of getting the captions, the subtitles.
We do not.
Yeah, we should already have.
Yep.
Yeah, but okay, assume we have that, then you might very well want to pick which subtitles you want to get.
Yep. If you widen your notebook, there should be a gear icon.
If I
on
widen
the
my
right.
notebook, oh yeah.
Yeah. That gear icon, which assets are going to come from design. If subtitles exist, that's going to give you the option to switch between them. Also the audio tracks.
Okay.
And video tracks.
And video tracks, yes. Just one minor thing. When it comes to, for instance, exporting objects that have these regions of interest baked into them, I'm guessing what you're going to suggest is that we're going to export that region of interest to the new file. But
yes.
I'm not sure people expect that all the time. I don't know. Unless we make it very clear that these, so masking, for instance, has mostly been used to specify what locations to process. And that's not necessarily what you want to use when exporting or saving.
Well, I don't agree. You can always take it off. But the question is whether we have a wrapper. I mean, I'm not really liking the idea of, see, one thing is, let's say, video section. I don't know what it should be called. Video selection. Oh, yes, this is a good name. Video selection. That's similar to what we do in the symbolic database stuff.
So let me, for a second, try to argue against this. So you said this will be the output of some expensive computation. You decided that this is your region of interest with some whatever method.
Mm-hmm.
Now, wouldn't it be just as easy to save this output as an interval or a list of intervals and then have a masking option in all of the processing?
That would be absolutely horrifying.
Okay.
It's a really bad idea. Just think about it. I mean, you've got that, I'm selecting Mongolian as my audio track, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, you'd have to keep track of more things, for sure.
Yeah, it's a total mess.
Okay.
However,
my arguing is finished.
Okay. I think in that particular case, I think you're wrong. You're often not, but
No, I mean, I see your point.
Yeah. Okay, so I like this idea of video selection. So then that would give you, Tmin, Tmax. Here we could say absolutely, audio track. Well, what we could do here, we could have in this, we could just say audio track. Now the question is, what makes it? Okay, so what I would suggest is if you explicitly say video of video selection, it bakes it in, right? It just does that. It makes it,
Okay,
it returns a video.
Case, it will export a file, I guess.
I would assume so, yes.
Yeah, that only has those things, and you don't have the video selection information anymore just because that is what the video is.
That is correct.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
The only objection that the only point that Piotr pointed out is that if we want to do something like this, then we need all of the we need, first of all, a file name and a file extension picked up, and then all the export options, such as video encoding, audio encoding, and so forth.
What are you talking about? I mean, for what? To get the... Yeah, go ahead.
You're creating a new file. You're not replacing your existing file that the lowercase video is linking to. So you basically need a file name, or we can automatically pick a file name.
Yeah, I'm sure you've got capabilities to pick automatic file names. You've done that.
That is what happens in VideoTrim, or what will happen in VideoTrim and VideoFilter and all of those functions, right?
Fine.
So we pick a name, and all the properties could come from the video itself, as far as file name, the container, and encodings. Okay.
Right. So video selection then would be the thing. So, for example, when you right. So, okay. So then that actually solves a bunch of problems here. So then, okay, so let's try this out. So video frames of a video produces this list of frames. That's giving a list of frames. Video time series is giving a time series. I mean, this could be frameless, video frameless. This is very explicit. If we said video frame list, video time series.
Yeah, we can drop the part specification at this point, because you could just say video frame list to video selection.
Which part specification?
From time 1 to time 2.
Yes, that's correct. That would be a better way to do it. Which would
But then how about time step?
Yeah, but so we get to use my DT finally.
Yeah, the problem is that the intermingling the DT and the part specification was bad. But using one or the other is okay, I think. I
think so too. I think this is, so if you want a frame list, now whether that defaults to frame numbers, I think DT is the correct way to default here. And then you do video selection of that, and then the range that you want it over. I like this, and I really like being able to carry around the selection information.
Yeah, the other advantage of that is that we don't produce useless intermediate files.
Yeah, it's a good reason to do it. Okay, so for now, video selection, you know, it would be nice to have a nice output form for video selection, but we could just have it sit there with the video, you know, as a symbolic thing.
That's what I was thinking. The first step would be like injecting that knowledge in all the processing function, and then the second step include that into the GUI.
Fine. Okay, so video time series F on video, and it is being fed notionally an association. And then this would be, you know, block information here. Do you want it, you know, how big are the blocks? And the default is, so that would be, you know, a frame count, and that would be a D frame, so to speak, frame delta. Right, so that's saying how many frames to feed in to F at one gulp, and that's saying the delta.
And if you don't specify the argument, it will get a single image.
Single frame, yeah, a single frame.
Okay,
I think. But now
list wrapper, not a list of one frame.
Yeah, I understand the issue. I understand the issue. I'm not so totally certain about that. Yeah, I guess so. I hate it. Okay, but I think the way we could do it. Oh, I hate it. I hate giving.
This is why we had two separate.
I know, but you don't want two functions just to get rid of one list.
Yeah, I know.
I think this is okay. I think it's okay. All right, so then video trim, if you really want to have the function, have it, but you don't really need it anymore because it's just video or video selection.
So the nice thing of video trim is that, as I said, we can try to be more efficient.
Okay, fine, do it. It's not a problem. Not a problem. Okay, so now we've got video apply, okay, which is doing what? It's applying frame by frame, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Honestly, that's the thing that is much more VideoMap.
I guess so, because the head is preserved in input and output.
Right. Why did we call it image apply? We were just trying to avoid the name image map because image map means something different.
Yes.
I mean, we could also call it video frame map.
Yep, I would be happier with
I think that's actually good, because I think that we could imagine a future world in which we're actually gulping videos into the little mini videos into this function f. Okay, video frame map, f of video. And presumably it could have the same frame count, frame delta as VideoTimeSeries.
So yeah, that is video filter. And the difference of video filter is that instead it could apply a function also to the audio and subtitle track.
So why don't we do the exact same thing as VideoTimeSeries with its same, hash audio track and so on, hash audio.
That seems reasonable.
That way we get a single function there. Good. This is a nice design. This is an improvement.
Can we confirm how did we decide on not frame count specified? Is that a single frame or a list of a single frame? Or we're not even supporting that?
Sorry, when frame count is not specified.
Yes.
I think it's a single frame, not a list of a single frame. It's a little painful, but I think it's the right thing to do.
Then if we do that, yeah, video frame map could do the same thing.
Exactly.
Then we reduce to 2 functions.
Yep.
Okay. And another point, something bugs me about video selection, and I'm guessing we're going to be supporting video and video selection in almost all of the video functions. It seems redundant. Can we maybe work out a solution with some options for video instead?
No. It's not a good idea, because what you want to do is you want to have video itself be a video, right? I mean, you don't want, because what you want to do is you want to actively think about making a selection. See what I'm saying? But you want this to be just hanging around as a symbolic specification of a selection while not actually burning it in as a video. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, as I said before, I think the 3 options here are: 1, you keep your information in a separate variable; 2, the inert wrapper; and 3, creating a new file.
Right, and creating a new file, you're doing using video, which is it's a serious act, so to speak, as opposed to just the symbolic stuff, which is just fluff. Okay. Okay, let's confirm though for video selection. The question of how you are asking for particular, I mean, I don't know whether we want to go, options, full of options here. Audio track goes to 1 and things. I don't know. I mean, clearly this is a useful thing to just get the audio track. What is the syntax here? And do you want just a big association that tells you which parts of the video you want to select, or what's the right thing to do?
So we have several things. First of all, what does video selection of video with no further arguments mean? Just the original video, correct?
Yeah, just the original video.
Select everything. Yeah. So if we specify additional arguments, what does that mean? We drop everything except that additional argument? Or do we specify the things to drop? I guess these are...
No, we do not specify things to drop. We specify things to keep. That's why it's called video selection as opposed to video deselection. Okay.
So we need to select which track for the 3 track specification, audio, video, and subtitle. And then we might want to specify an interval, which probably should be common to all the tracks. So, so my proposal is that we have the second argument be the time interval, and then for the track selection, we use options.
It's possible. Or we could just say,
I think the two should be independent.
oh, wait, hold on a second. Video tracks defaults. Okay, so you might have, no, I agree with the independence there. So I mean, video selection of video, you know, Tmin, Tmax, and probably just a T there would just be from the beginning of the video.
Yep.
And then we could say video tracks arrow none, which would be the somewhat rare case of extract just the audio. That would be equivalent to saying audio of the thing.
Yep.
Audio tracks arrow all, or arrow, you know, 1 or arrow 2,3 or whatever you want to do, or the names.
Yep.
Right.
I think that is nice and unambiguous, because then we can document the no argument case as video selection of video, comma all, comma video tracks goes to all, etc., etc.
Yes. Right. And the if you want to kill one of the tracks for whatever reason, this is what you do.
Sounds pretty reasonable to me.
Yeah, I think this is going to
And
work.
those options are plural. So far, we had them singular.
I don't think it's right to have them singular.
Yep, makes sense.
Because I think that there could be, it suggests that there are, I mean, the whole point of having the option is that there are multiple things to choose between.
Mm-hmm.
And if there aren't, then why use the option?
Okay.
All right.
And so far, we're not going to include them in import or export, but
we probably could,
seems...
look, given that we have these options, we probably could include them.
Okay.
Why not? I mean, there's a lot of cans of worms there, because there's remapping. What if you want to export this video, but you want to actually say, I want to call my subtitle track, you know, Bill or something. You see what I'm saying? I don't know how you would do that.
Yeah, I do not know. I do not know.
Actually,
even if
probably
we can export.
Probably the way you would do that is by giving those as options to video itself, as opposed to video selection. Because video selection is telling you what to select out of the video. Video with the subtitle tracks would be telling you, you know, would be in a sense saying, this is what I want in the video.
Except that our video object now doesn't have an option called subtitle track. But
I understand, but I don't think we should. Let's not do that right now. I mean, we don't need that right now.
I would prefer that too. Sure.
Okay.
So you asked for that second thing in there, and that's or no, you wanted
manipulate, animate, and all those things.
And you wanted to directly get a video object. So that's not we have now, and that's not listed there. These are what we have in 12.1.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, and I don't care how you do it, you can create an intermediate file, which is what I assume you will do, but video of a manipulate should just work.
But then again, we are introducing all the export functions that we have for exporting manipulates to video files, which include things like control appearance.
I understand that. I understand that. Look, what I'm saying is this particular thing should just work.
But not take any options like export does.
It would be nice to give it a frame rate and things, but it's not necessary.
But the point is that then we would introduce those options for video period, and they wouldn't make sense in any other case.
Okay, fine. Then don't put them there. I mean, this is our default video. This is we're going to give you a video of this manipulate, you know, be happy, so to speak. And then when you want to export it, then you might want to specify a frame rate and things like this. But the important cases, as far as I'm concerned, are that and video of animate, and probably video of list animate.
They're all manipulates at the end of the day. So
okay, fine.
Yep.
I mean, that would be very nice. That's a, you know, that's something where, yeah, it's good. Okay, now, and presumably in these cases, it will say not in notebook, you know, choose to store it type thing. You know what I'm saying? For the data that is being put in an external local object file. It is a local object file, isn't it?
It's a file, not a local object.
Why not?
No particular reason, I guess.
Okay,
no, we have
then
Just because export doesn't put things in.
I know, because
local
export is
object.
exporting it to where you
Yeah.
want it exported to, whereas this
Okay.
is, I mean, it should be in the local object store.
Didn't
Okay.
we agree that we're gonna put these under $Wolfram, the new thing, user document directory? I thought that's what we agreed on.
Why? Why isn't it going in the local object store?
I mean, those, sorry, what Charlie is talking about is all the output of the processing functions like video apply and
I know, but I'm saying
Video filter.
if it's something you want to keep around, you know, it should go in the local object store. Why wouldn't it? That's what the local object store is for. And it's managed, and, you know, we'll have, you know, functions for watching how big it gets and things
But-
like this.
Stephen, we discussed this in a different meeting. Why do you think this is any different from audio capture? We agreed that speech synthesized audio capture are going to start putting files on their Wolfram document.
I remember that discussion, and I can't remember why I got talked out of the local object store. Can you remember? Let's revisit this with an explanation either way. There may be a good reason for it, but you can do whatever you want for this version.
Sure.
Okay? But I'd like an explanation for why it's not going in the local object store, because it makes sense to me. And I mean, this $video encoders, decoders, that's kind of, you know, it's kind of a mess to have all those things in there. Why do we really need all that? Couldn't we have something? Go ahead.
Well, basically I think for users access to see what they can encode or decode on their system.
Look, this whole discovery mechanism of, you know, import formats, export formats, and so on, we need a better way to do this. We need something that's closer to the entity store mechanism as a way to store all of this meta information. I mean, it's like the crazy thing about not knowing. I mean, listen, I've ended up too often, like, for example, here's an example. I wanted to try all possible visualizations of a graph. Okay. So I literally copy paste the column from the documentation of possible graph layouts. Right? That's crazy.
Yep.
I mean, we've got a whole bunch of these things where we essentially have, or, you know, the list of musical instruments for sound objects.
Definitely. Yep.
You know, those are just crazy that we have to do that. And I think these internal discovery type things, let's get a
quick
separate
reminder. Remember, we created a resampling algorithm data. That's yet another way of discovering things.
Let's get. I understand. So can we get a meeting set up? It should be part of the ILD series, I guess. I'm not sure if it's or the LCC series. I'm not sure which. It reminds me of the standardized progress indicators meeting that I noticed we have tomorrow, which is an effort to standardize how we deal with internal discovery like this. Internal option discovery. It's probably the right title for and internal option value discovery, I guess. Let's try and standardize it and get rid of all these $, you know, whatever variables. Okay, question from a number of comments on our live stream here. I noticed that Carl on our live stream has called it video frames list as opposed to video frame list. And I wonder what the right thing is there. Frames list. You know, I have to say, I think video frames list may be better.
Really? Because list already conveys the fact that there's multiple. It's a list of,
Okay.
I guess. Oh, I don't know. This is, I don't think my English is good enough.
We have entity list, edge list, menu list, and so forth. Fine, you know, a lot of these.
You're right. You're right. That's singular. It could be edges list, and it isn't. It's edge list.
Yep.
Okay. Comment from Sander. Video map thread, which takes multiple videos to create things like picture-in-picture.
Why not?
That's very cool.
Probably not in 12.1, but it seems like a very sensible idea.
That is a cool idea.
Well, I mean, even not necessarily picture-in-picture, but just something from 2 frames. Then there are many questions there, I guess. Well, about synchronization of frame rates and stuff like that.
Well, one thing is compositing of you know, have a thing where you have multiple. You have a video formed from 4 videos, for example.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I usually refer to as the Brady Bunch effect, but I'm not sure that may be a timing out. It requires knowledge of a random TV show that had died before I came to the US, but I'm aware of it for other reasons. If you look it up, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay.
I think that's gonna basically cover a whole bunch of functions that we would like to have, like collaging multiple videos, assembling them, blending them, and things like that. So no, I definitely think we need that, but again,
yeah, not right now. Okay. Sander comments on Wolfram Language data as a place to put these internal discovery things. I was thinking about that. I'm not sure if that's the right place for it, but it's a good thought. Brian on our live stream is asking, how would you insert an audio track or a closed caption? Good question. Let's walk through that.
I do not think we have any workflow to do that at the moment.
Okay, but how would we do that? I mean, that's what we were talking about, again, where we're saying video. See, I could imagine something where you do something like
add track or something, add video track.
Well, possibly, or something like this, where it's just video of video.
Yeah, I like this kind of.
Can we do it with a set of rules? Oh, okay, just video. Export has it. Export with the rules export element can take image list or a video, I think, and then an audio, and then export both into the same file.
Well, and in principle, what we could do here is we could have a video. I'm not sure how this completely relates to video.
I mean, it seems reasonable, right, having the video head take a list of or an association of video and something else and just produce a new file with those.
Seems like it's consistent with what we're talking about.
No objections.
I mean, because we could also specify a particular video track. You know, it could be video track 1 or video track 2 or whatever.
So that seems more the job of expert.
Well,
which
it depends
already does.
No, but you don't want to use export because you're doing stuff. The whole point is export is you lost the game. We're sending it to something outside.
Oh, well, I do not. Our video object needs to be based at the moment on a single file.
Yes, but Stephen,
I understand that. I understand. I understand what you're saying, but I understand that you are internally doing an export, basically, to create a file.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that to the user, it's like we're just doing things with video objects. The fact that behind the scenes files are being juggled is irrelevant.
Okay. Okay. In this, okay. I kind of like the list specification slightly better, but then you are not allowed to name your tracks in a specific way, which might
Well,
be
and
necessary.
I mean, look, the obvious way to do it is if you do this and you do name arrow blah blah blah, that would just work.
But if that is a video object, that could have already a video track and an audio track and a subtitle track, right? So that name, I'm not sure what that name applies to.
I don't know either. I don't think this is a problem we have to solve today. We're not going to.
Agreed.
It's clear there is a way to do it. Okay, let me just take a quick look down here and then we can wrap. So I don't understand what video reflect. I mean, isn't that, why isn't that just a video frame map of image reflect?
Yep.
I wouldn't have that. I mean, that seems like a very obscure operation.
The one
Sounds
thing
fine.
that would be okay, the one issue where it would make kind of sense is if we could use FFmpeg filters to make the operation more efficient.
You could use what? Sorry, what?
Some FFmpeg tools, filters.
I see.
That are more efficient than
Well,
just importing the data.
Compile. I mean, maybe you just have to do compilation of.
Yes, this is one of the things that we
map.
talked about for like parsing the function as that's the input of.
Right. I mean, I think that's the future anyway. Is to be, we're running a compiler, and the compiler can do all kinds of things. And if it compiles to FFmpeg, whatever it is, because it could one day compile to GPU operations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Okay, thumbnail. That is important. I mean, that will be worth having. To me, if you ask about these, that one, just in terms of managing video stuff, that would be really useful.
Sounds good.
And probably an easy thing for us to generate. I mean, look, worst case is we generate one from a keyframe or something. Video from a function. Well, isn't that? I mean, that is the whole graphics from a function, which is something separate thing that we need to talk about.
Yep, this is the play analog for video. Play of a function. Now you want video, play of a function typically creates audio samples. You want a version that creates video frames.
What's it going to show?
Well, if it's a graphics of a moving disc or whatever.
We need to talk about that. That's a complicated thing because that's like object-oriented graphics stuff. Sorry, let me just look at one more thing here. Oh, video measurements. Yeah, that's an obvious kind of thing. That's an obvious thing that we'll need, which will be like image measurements. It will have a whole pile of gunk inside it, pile of wonderful stuff inside it.
And perhaps like audio measurements, audio local measurements. We're going to have two here. One is for the whole video. One is local.
I see. Is it local or is it frame-based? In which case it should be called video frame measurements. Or is it not necessarily frame-oriented? We're not clear yet. Okay.
Something like loudness is definitely not frame oriented. It's taking audio samples.
Okay.
Well, let us think about it. I think it's
fine. No problem. All right. Well, looks great. Bob on our live stream is commenting if you'd like to be able to clean up old black and white videos and colorize them.
Well, yeah, I mean, can already do that with the video map, and then you can apply the colorizing neural network to the.
Yeah, although I have to believe you can do it a lot better if you can see multiple frames at a time.
Absolutely, especially if you have a GPU. Yeah, you would just import the frames, throw it to the net altogether, and yeah, that's it.
Right. Okay, wonderful stuff. If you have further questions, let me know. Otherwise, I think this was a substantial uptick in the design of this video stuff. And it looks like it's very easy for you guys to implement. So, and I will send you these notes since I don't know if Chapin has access to this area. And I need to go have my lunch.
Thanks, Stephen.
Okay, see you all later. Thanks,
Bye.
folks on the live stream too. Bye.